I, 27 female, have a perfectly healthy older brother, Alex, 30, and a younger brother, 25, Max, who's on the spectrum and has had mental challenges his whole life. My parents were Max's primary caregivers. They always did their best and cared for Max, often at the expense of completely ignoring Alex and me. However, Alex stayed back in the city and worked with Dad. I left when I turned 18, so I was in low contact with him. Unfortunately, my parents both passed away during COVID. Because I was in a different state, Alex and his family took Max in and started caring for him. I got a call from Alex asking me to visit him and talk about Max, so I did. Alex told me he was physically and emotionally exhausted from caring for Max, that he couldn't spend as much time with his wife and son as he would like, and asked me to temporarily take Max back home with me. Well, I currently live with my wife, 30, and our two little ones, toddler and kindergartner. My wife has a demanding job, and even though I'm a stay-at-home mom, I barely have time for myself. Alex insisted that my wife could easily afford to hire help and care for Max. I told him I wasn't emotionally ready to take him in. Alex told me he was disappointed in me and thought that Max would be more valuable, in my opinion. There was a really long argument there. I came home and told my wife all about this. She agrees with me that taking Max in wouldn't be possible for us, but she suggested we could look for a facility or group home that can meet all his needs for him and pay for it. I offered Alex the solution I'd found. He called me a heartless monster and a terrible sister for even suggesting that, and said that Max was our brother and should be at home with his family where he belongs. I feel like such a horrible person for not wanting to do this. No matter how much my wife tells me this is Alex's frustration with the situation misplaced towards me, I still feel like I'm in the wrong. Now, am I the idiot for not wanting to take Max in? Not the idiot. A group home with qualified caretakers would be the best thing for everyone. I worked in excellent group homes, and they can benefit the person. There are several practical considerations too. What agreement did Alex have with your parents? Did your parents set up any trust to provide for Max? Did Alex inherit money or property to be used for Max's support? Why isn't Alex hiring a caregiver for Max and letting him stay where he is? Your brother no longer wants to care for him, so he's trying to put this responsibility on you. And for goodness sake, if he gets settled in a good group home now and adjusts, it'll be easier if Max outlives his siblings too. He has to deal with losing another home and more family and the state making this decision, or worse, him being homeless. And the audacity to call OP a heartless monster and terrible sister when he's trying to dump their brother on OP and also expecting OP's wife to pay. Why doesn't he pay for his brother's care if he doesn't want him in a care facility? So hypocritical. Exactly. Your wife is right that the best solution here is to look for a group home or other facility for Max. However, Alex should also understand that you can't unilaterally make that decision. Obviously, your wife needs to be involved, and she said no. Also, pretty bold of him to assume that your wife will just pony up the cash for a carer for Max. He's presumptuous, and you must stand up for yourself. In my opinion, you are the idiot. If family means anything to you, you would be willing to share the burden. It's clear Alex cares more about Max than you do, and you arguing with him over that fact makes you an idiot. Can y'all share responsibility for him and take turns? He's been Alex's full responsibility for 4 years, and it's your turn to take over. You should definitely help your brother with Max, and you already know that. I, 36 female, am a white American, and my husband, Tom, of 8+ years, is a black man from Zimbabwe. We met while we were students in the Netherlands. Weirdly, no one's ever been unkind about us being an interracial couple, at least not to my face. So I wonder if I'm overreacting in this situation, because I've never faced this. My older cousin, Jim's son, Alex, is graduating from high school in May. I grew up next door to Jim and his siblings, and we're all very close. Jim initially told me that Alex wanted to avoid having a big graduation party. Still, if I wanted to stop by quickly on the Saturday after graduation, I was welcome to do so. He asked 3 or 4 times if Tom would be coming and was very insistent that it wasn't necessary. Tom has a big project pending at work, so I figured he didn't need to come with me to drop off a check and a card, so the whole thing seemed weird. Well, I arrived at Jim's house to find a full-on party underway. I was incredibly shocked, and when I asked my aunt, Jim's mom, what was going on, she said that the party had been planned for months, and that's why we were all invited over. I told her what Jim had told me, and she looked a bit sheepish and said, "Oh, that's probably because Sarah's family's here." Sarah's Jim's wife. I don't know her family well, and haven't really seen them since Jim and Sarah's wedding when I was a teenager. Anyway, regardless of my explanation, I left without saying goodbye or leaving the card and check on the gift table. This will be important later. Jim called me the next day, asking where I had gone. I told him I was shocked that there was a party when I was explicitly told there would be no party and thus not to bring my husband. Jim started to cry, which is weird and out of character, and told me that Sarah's family is very old-fashioned and would disapprove of an interracial couple. They didn't want to cause a scene on Alex's big day, but they wanted me there, so they devised a half-truth to keep Tom from coming. I was, to say the least, speechless. I just hung up the phone. Later, my mom called to say she hadn't known about the plan to keep Tom away, but she had spoken to her sister, my aunt, who was very hurt that I hadn't left Alex his gift. My mom said I'm the idiot for punishing Alex for what his parents did, and I should give him the check I was planning on giving him. Frankly, I don't want anything to do with them right now, but I worry I am being unfair to Alex. I'm going to allow disrespect towards your husband, but I still want you to give my child your money. Yeah, no, not the idiot. So your aunt's more upset that Alex didn't get a check than that her son is racked with shame from being spineless and disrespecting his family to appease a bunch of morons. Her priorities are a mess. Really? They're worried about a stupid check? Wow, where do such entitled idiots come from? The white privilege is astounding and disturbing. OP, you should do whatever you feel is right here. I can see everything making sense, but these people have no right to question your decision since they're such unapologetic cowards. Bummer that Alex was caught in the crossfire of his parents' disgusting mistake. Hopefully, Alex understands what happened, but the more I think about it, I can't imagine being 18 and complaining that somebody didn't leave a gift for me at my graduation party, especially if there were tons of other people at the party and likely many gifts. Alex is definitely showing some entitlement there. I'm sorry this happened to you and Tom. Good for you for standing up for him. I, Male, was out to dinner with my dad, referred to as Dan, and 2 of our friends, Jake and Alan, also male, along with my dad's girlfriend, Faith. During the conversation, Alan said something like, the wife wanted tickets. I don't remember the topic because it was offhand, and the ensuing discussion derailed the conversation. Faith didn't like how Alan referred to his wife as the wife and explained how it was impersonal to the actual human being and was referring to her as a categorical role, like the butler, with the preference to use my wife instead. Everyone else, 4 guys, kind of balked at the comment, which upset her more. A slightly heated discussion followed, where we tried to explain why it wasn't a big deal to us. Everyone there had met her and knew her, so it's not like we weren't aware of whom she was. Alan said that even his wife wouldn't mind. Such a literal interpretation of the wife could mean my wife, conveys ownership or possession. The term wife is a term of endearment and personal by definition, as opposed to ball and chain or the old lady. Using my butler is no better than the butler. When it started to go off the rails is when she responded by saying, "You're being morons," multiple times in the back and forth. Only swear words were used the whole conversation. I pointed out that her calling us names is worse than her being offended by someone who isn't there and wouldn't be offended if she were there. I also said her opinion of the wife as an offensive or impersonal term is her interpretation of the word wife on its own, not being a positive thing in the first place. I have a personal bias against people who get offended on behalf of others, so I think I have a blind side here. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. Faith sounds insufferable, but she's right. I don't know anyone under 70 who still refer to their wife as the wife. It is dehumanizing and pretty off-putting. I've never heard a woman say the husband in any context. She overdid it with the name-calling, but I understand her frustration. The wife is objectifying, whether it's meant to be or not. OMG, it's really not as deep as some people are assuming. LOL, if anything, it's sarcastically endearing. I also refer to my husband as the husbeast sometimes, and our son is usually the boy. Often when talking about who's picking up whom, I'll say, I'll get the smelly one, and you get the hairy one, the dog. And my husband will say, that doesn't tell me anything. Low-key, you are the idiot. When a bunch of men start trying to explain to a woman why calling someone the wife is okay just crosses a line to me, I wouldn't be okay with being called the wife. And if I heard a friend say it, I'd ding it as a red flag to keep an eye on. Among friends, not using her name is really depersonalizing. Plenty of people are fine with it, which apparently includes the wife being referred to. Language varies between different people. Most people I know refer to relatives and partners with the prefixing it. The wife, the hubby, the mother, etc. All are perfectly normal and happily accepted in many places. Same as how some places will call everyone love or darling. I'm a woman, and I don't see anything wrong with saying the wife. Anyone that does have a problem with it is too uptight for me to want to associate with. I, 23 female, have long golden hair that's down to my mid-thigh. I'm 5'4" and I've been growing it out for a long time. I had waist-long golden blonde hair as a teen, and I was friends with this one girl who would often tell me how damaged and frizzy it was and how it would look so much nicer if I cut it short. It was then brown as I'd had it cut, and I felt that it looked plain and no healthier, as having long or frizzy hair doesn't automatically mean it's damaged. I later learned that she was just jealous and sabotaging me and decided I'd never listen to her hair advice again. My sister, 25, is getting married. We're all very excited. Last week, she pulled me aside and said my hair is too long, it looks bad, and she doesn't want it in her wedding photos. I thought it was really rude, but I told her I'd wear it up. She said it's too long to wear up, and even when I wear it up, it looks too big for my head and body. I told her that's fine. I won't be in the photos. She told me I was bound to be in the photos if I was there, so I told her I won't go, as I wasn't cutting my hair. My family agrees with her, saying it's her big day and other things, e.g., I won't get a job, look scruffy, too old to have hair that long, and demand that I cut it. I want to be clear, my hair is no longer frizzy. I use good shampoo for wavy hair, so it's long and wavy. It's also thick, so it isn't thinning. It's very shiny, and I take good care of it and get trimmed so there are no split ends. I get a lot of compliments about my hair, and I've never had any trouble with work, and I see no reason to cut it other than the wedding, which I'm not willing to do. I suspect my sister's jealous and doesn't want my hair to take away her attention, but she can't outright say that. OMG, it's a stupid wedding season again? It's like everyone is either a giant idiot or being pushed around by a giant idiot. Don't allow yourself to be pushed around. Not the idiot. This obsession some brides have over their wedding photos is unhealthy and bizarre. You just have naturally long hair. She should get over it. The irony is that most of the time, the photos are forgotten about after the first couple of years. I had a bridesmaid that decided her super pale skin needed a spray tan 24 hours before the wedding. She also went nuclear blonde and neon green nail polish with a deep purple bridesmaid dress. There was nothing I could do on the day of, so I rolled with it. But I do remind her of how she looked and is now mortified by, because the goal was as much attention as possible. Keep your hair. The pictures won't matter down the road. But what is wrong with your family? At age 23, you're getting too old to have long hair? Oh, heck no. You're correct. Your sister doesn't want the attention to be on you. She just doesn't want to admit it. The compromises you offered were utterly reasonable. And if you have a professional put your hair in an updo, they can probably style it in a way so it does not look too big for your head. So, where to begin here? We're on vacation as a family and staying at an Airbnb with a pool. I, nearly adult, am about 15 years younger than my other siblings, and their plan was to go to an outlet mall. So I volunteered to stay and watch the kids, 4 young grammar school-age children. One of the older children has a brand new iPhone 14, and I quickly remarked that I'll make sure he keeps it away from swimming. My sister's exact quote was, "Oh, it's okay. It has a brand name case on it. It can get wet." I said okay and told them to have a good time. The older 2 kids came up with a pool game centered around the clock app trend that goes, "Ooh wee." Basically, everyone heard, "Ooh wee." They'd throw the phone up in the air and go dive for it. Well, the case wasn't apparently that waterproof, and after about 10 minutes, the phone was completely soaked inside the case, and the phone was dead. And the back was so hot, it felt like it could burn your finger. My sister was livid and expects me to pay for the phone. I keep going back to the fact that she said the case was waterproof. She says I'm a major idiot if I interpreted waterproof for an iPhone to be used as a dive toy. Am I the idiot here? Not the idiot, but your sister is, for giving a child that young an iPhone. Like, what good can come of small kids on smartphones? What did she think would happen by giving a $1,000 phone to a child that still probably eats his boogers and throws stuff as a matter of course? Do not concede or offer to buy a new one. Kids need to learn the consequences. But I suspect, sadly, that your sister's angry she might have to pay attention to the kids instead of putting them in front of a screen. Seriously, what the heck are these parents even thinking? Why not hand the kid some car keys when he's 10 too? Parents like this are literally the first ones to cry foul and demand the entire internet be censored and baby-proofed so the screen can raise their poor spawn while mommy goes shopping or Instagrams her day. I wonder what percentage of these parents also claim that raising 1 or 2 kids is so expensive. Well, yeah. Are you buying them hundreds of dollars of the newest tech that they absolutely do not need? I'm a 38-year-old woman who pays for my own crap, and I still have an iPhone 11. If you're going to give a kindergartner a new $1,000 iPhone 14, what's left for high school graduation? A Ferrari? Which they'll promptly drive into a lake. Oh, honey, seriously, you thought the phone could be a pool toy? I'm going to go with everyone's the idiot here. You for letting them use a phone, waterproof case or not, as a pool toy, and for the mom being mad at a teenager for making a teenager's mistake. Agreed. Letting the kids you were responsible for throw an expensive new phone around a pool and dive for it? Sorry, no. Your sister's right. You absolutely should have had more common sense. There's a difference between it's fine for them to use their phone near the pool, it can handle a splash waterproof, and actual repeated submersion of an electronic device. Not to mention throwing around a device with a battery. Forget the phone, the kids could have been hurt.